What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I'm Will Brinson, and I'm here by myself for an hour and a half. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to bring in the stars of the show, Mackenzie Brooks, RJ White, and Alex Selzick, a.k.a. Propstarz. What's up, everybody? Hey, the NFL, Eric Casillas is like, he's like, oh, I'm not going to give you the whole, like, football's here spiel. I'll give it to you. Football's here. This rocks. Football is back. How we feeling?
Pretty epic. Pretty epic. I'm
fired up. What a week one matchup.
We're one game. We're almost one game in. 284 to go. So
RJ's already spent an hour on like the internet television with me too. So I'm sure he's already sick of it. But we're gonna kill it as always. We're gonna do tons of stuff. Props, cover the game itself. We're going to hit first touchdown scores. I think I saw something about a Goose parlay, which I will be putting in live on my phone in the middle of it. But let's get to some storylines for the game because we've got time to kill. I need to talk about it from a betting perspective. This is actually kind of terrifying, RJ, because the reigning champion, and it used to be a thing where like, oh, the reigning champion, all this time to prepare, blah, 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 hasn't covered 3 years in a row. Obviously, the Chiefs were involved last year when they lost to the Lions outright at home. Shout out Kadarius Toney. Do you buy that trend, or do you think that's more like hot air nonsense?
Trends, ZZZZZ on the end of it.
Trend season, baby.
Trends don't matter. I mean, it's a single game. You know, the Chiefs aren't especially the trend that has 3 games into it. So I don't think it matters. I think KC's got the stronger roster here, including at left tackle, where Kingsley Suamataia should be solid immediately and kind of lock that down for them. So defensively, I think they'll limit the Ravens' ground game. The line seems a little light to me. I know we're getting some 2.5s out there. Maybe that's people jumping on that trend, that they see that trend, but I don't think the trend really matters at all.
Y'all dive right in, by the way. I'm not teeing y'all up. It's too casual of a show. Kens, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not big on the trends either, but when you have a double trend situation going on with Lamar Jackson being 13-1 as a 3-point dog or more, then it's like, okay, maybe we got to start buying in. But as RJ mentioned, just one specific game, I do like them to cover, but we'll get into that later.
Not buying into the trends either, guys. I'm fired up. I think this game means a lot to the Ravens and their season. Also, John Harbaugh has been every bit as good as Andy Reid in week one as well. So I like the Ravens in this spot personally, and I'll expand on that shortly.
Well, I mean, look, Harbaugh was hired from the Eagles as their special teams coach to take over the Ravens back in, I mean, I've been covering this league for too long for CBS, clearly. I might have written a blog about John Harbaugh getting hired. That's how freaking old I am. But, you know, I mean, I do think that preparation, Andy Reid versus Harbaugh, that's a wash for me. As good as Andy Reid is at preparing, so is Harbs. I kind of agree with the narrative that it means a little bit more for the Ravens in the same sense that you kind of got like the Niners lost to the Eagles in the NFC title game like 2 years ago, and then came back and ruined there's a little bit of vengeance for that, because I think the Ravens felt like they could have won, probably had a bad game plan on offense, and you want to see them try to adjust that, do it with Derrick Henry. But yeah, I mean, we saw for years the team, even in fact, the Chiefs might have did the Chiefs derail this trend when they beat the Patriots, or because the Patriots, it's going up and down. So I'm not buying it as a trend that we should necessarily buy into. Do we have any takes on? I'll just throw up something, because this is like can I throw up? I'm trying to throw up something from the chat about it, but I've been out of this StreamYard game for too long that I can't do it successfly. But
they have you on child lock over there, Brinson.
Oh, you know what? I do have a child lock on. You're right. I think that is accurate. They may throw me out of the chat. Anyway, Ravens have the highest win total here, Ken's 11.5 ever, tied with 2020 to cover in franchise history. Are you buying that this Ravens team, which lost meaningful pieces on defense, including their DC, Mike McDonald, but added, of course, the big dog Derrick Henry, can go over that win total in 2024?
Yeah, I do. I mean, just barely over. I give them 12 wins, but I think we really buy into what this team lost and don't really talk about what they have. And again, who they have healthy as well. I think Nate Wiggins was a tremendous add on to this team, seeing the way he played in preseason. You're going to talk about this game specifically. It came down to not running efficiently. Now we have Derrick Henry. So a lot of the, national media is really focusing on these things they lost. But I really think they have younger guys, they have healthy guys, and that's the type of guys this defensive coordinator wants to see.
Yeah, but it's such a tough division, and I mean, when you're going to get to 12 wins, you're going to need to go 4-2, 5-1 in the division. Probably, you just can't count on running the table outside of the division. And can they do that in this division? It's going to be very hard for me with how good Cincinnati looks. I'm very high on Cleveland. I'm probably the highest person anybody knows on Cleveland. I think that they could be a Super Bowl contender if Watson continues the growth that he showed last year. And it's just going to be tough for me. You talk about the losses for the Ravens. Biggest loss for me is Mike McDonald. That dude is a genius. Everybody's trying to copy his scheme and install that type of defense. And he's taking that with him to Seattle. Now it's not like he did the Men in Black, memory wipe and you lose all of that when he leaves, but it's going to be tough to have a guy that prepared every week exiting the door and just expect that to carry over. We've seen in other situations where very talented coordinators leave. It doesn't just carry over. Shane Steichen leaves Philly and the next guy up just isn't the same. So I think it's going to be tougher to get there. I'd say 10 or 11 is more likely, but it might be determined early. They're at Dallas in week 3, and home against Buffalo in week 4. I think they need both of those to get over. So if they don't get both of those, I think we're probably looking at an underseason for them.
I still think this is one of the most talented rosters, top to bottom, and on the defensive end. Even though they did lose Mike McDonald, I still think they're arguably the best secondary in the NFL. I'm with you, Mackenzie. I think Nate Wiggins was an excellent addition to an already extremely deep and strong secondary, fully healthy as well. Excellent safety tandem. Look at the front seven. Re-signing Matabuke, I think, was a great move. Obviously, an interior disruptor capable of getting double-digit sacks from the inside. I just think this defense is exceptional. You add Derrick Henry. I still think he has at least a year in the tank of elite football, especially when you are putting him with a dual threat mobile quarterback. I think he's going to have an exceptional season. I could see 15 touchdowns in the process. So I still look at this Ravens team as an elite team. I think 12 wins is certainly within the range of outcomes.
Yeah, probably. Real quick, people are asking about your article on SportsLine, when it's going to drop. You're sending that up and putting that up tomorrow, right? Fridays?
Tomorrow morning, RJ. Yes, I'll have at least 5 to 7 props every Friday or Thursday, depending on when props come out. Can't wait for week 1. We're going high volume right out the gate.
Now, I see someone asking about the Seahawks or talking about the Seahawks in the chat. That's my week 1 survivor pick that we just gave out on HQ. Yeah. Brinson, I know you're a part of that. I think this is a great survivor pick for people playing. Just side note, we give them in the model a 70% chance of winning that game. You get Bo Nix, a rookie week 1 quarterback on the road. Feels like the right spot to fade. So just a little shout out to Seattle over there.
I'm taking him too in Circus Survivor too, so I agree with you.
I got Todd Furman on my team. I got M squared on my team with the Seahawks. I think I might have to do a little 3-unit whale on this play in the money line.
Well, I just submitted. It's like a lower stakes in the circa, but it's with 3 of my friends, we split 8 different teams in this big survivor league, and we ended up going 4 Seahawks and 1 Bengals. T. Higgins limited at least with a hamstring, and Jamar Chase, as underdog fantasy tweeted out, limited with chasing bag. So, you have this case where you could see the Bengals starting slow, Jacoby Brissett on the other side. I think I've come around on it and would go Seahawks if I only had one pick to make and hadn't submitted it on the fly to a producer, knowing that there was no prize involved whatsoever for whoever won that. I had the Ravens at 12 wins, and I think you make the case that as much as week 1 doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, you can lose the Chiefs lost week 1 and won the Super Bowl last year, right? But I think if from a gambling perspective and betting on a season-long future perspective, this game does matter. Because if you're going to get to 12 wins, as RJ points out, you have at Dallas, at Cincinnati early, they could be 2 and 3 really fast if Washington's more trouble than we expect. I had them losing. I actually had them when I did the Brinson model several months ago. So things have changed clearly because we'll get to my Chiefs pick in a minute, but it's a proprietary algorithm. No big deal. I had them losing at Dallas, at Cincy, at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh, and at Houston. to get to 12 with this schedule in that division, you're right. It's going to take kind of walking a really close tightrope and being perfect. So I think if I was leaning anything, it would be the under there, especially knowing that we might get KC's fastball this evening. All right, let's take some. Mr. Buck asked about the Ravens O-line suspect. RJ, I'm curious what you think about this, because I think you can make a bull or bear case on either side. One, yeah, they lost some dudes. But two, if you look at it, every single player that we think they'll be starting, it depends on what they end up doing with Rosengarten, their second round pick this year, could very well be a Ravens drafted and developed guy. And for a team that prides itself on drafting and developing, and a team that Eric DeCosta's not going willy-nilly into the season with some crap O-line in front of Lamar Jackson. I sort of trust them and their self-evaluation here.
Yeah, well, you look at it on paper. How many games are you going to get from Ronnie Stanley? And it's been a problem year after year after year. And so we'll see if he makes it through 17 games. God bless him. I don't think it's going to happen. But then you're feeling like you're in a very good spot with that line. But once he starts missing time, that left side looks pretty suspect, and teams are going to attack it. Even if Rosengarten can develop on the right side, I don't know that you have an answer for the left side. Flipping Makari over there isn't going to work. So we'll see how it works out for them. But I think once Stanley starts picking up those little minor injuries here and there, and then he starts to miss games, you're in a lot of trouble. Someone
said something about a weather delay. There's nothing worse than and this will happen to be once a show, so I'll get punked by something in chat where somebody says something. They're like Bateman ruled out, like right after but I don't know about a weather delay. I do see a lot of questions straight to Propstarz on Rashee Rice. We'll certainly get to those props. Anything else on this game, or anything else you guys scattered thunderstorms? Are we worried about that? Is weather a factor tonight? I didn't think that was even in the cards.
Yeah,
me neither.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to see an updated report.
Yeah, we got to get the chat on that. Get on Twitter, kids.
Yeah, that's my fault for believing anything. It's pouring down rain. Somebody says lightning in the area. Guys, what are we doing here? Come on. Wow. All right.
20% possibility of precipitation.
Actually, I just got one of my buddy Garrett, who wouldn't text this unless it was true, just texted me and said weather delay NFL game redacted, thing that I can't say on our YouTube channel without at least.
So it is real.
Maybe so. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. That's lame. Did we get a weather delay on some, or maybe it's the NC State game was weather delayed by 30 minutes. It's really quite the pump fake when you think you're getting like the start of the NFL season. Yeah. And then it's a 30-minute delay. Let's dive into the game itself, because it's going to get played eventually. Right now at BetMGM, the Ravens are +3 at -115, Chiefs -3, -105, a slight uptick in the juice on the over. Ravens money line +125, Chiefs are -150. Prop, you seem to hint aggressively about something on the Ravens. Are you willing to even take the money line here, or are you just taking the 3 points?
I lean towards the money line here. I like Baltimore. I think the line's fairly efficient, but I do lean Baltimore from a narrative standpoint. I really think this game is more meaningful to Baltimore. I just think they'll be ready for week one. I think the Chiefs will be a little bit in cruise control as well. I think the Chiefs typically peak later in the season as well. I think Baltimore comes out the gate really fired up for this game. Obviously, the AFC Championship didn't work out in their favor, so I do think the game means a little bit more to the Ravens. I do think we'll see a big dose of Derrick Henry. I think the Chiefs are a little bit vulnerable up the middle as well, so I think we'll see a different game plan than we saw in the AFC Championship. We saw Lamar air the ball out quite a bit, didn't run the ball nearly as much as I think a lot of people anticipated. So I do think we'll see a lot more Derrick Henry in this matchup. We get to see the new thoroughbred horse, get worked out week one out the gate. So I do like Baltimore to potentially at least cover, and I do think they have a good shot to win.
Sorry, just to jump in. This is Rich Eisen tweeting from the game with lightning flashing. The Chiefs and Ravens just ran off the field with fans now heading out of their seats. It's about 10 minutes ago. Have no idea how this affects the start time of tonight's game. Rain's supposed to stop within the hour. Rich is calling the game for Westwood 1. So we're still well within the window where if this thing moves on past, we're fine. But generally speaking, you got a 30-minute. It's sort of like whenever your parents lied to you about eating at the pool when you were a kid and you had to wait 30 minutes. You're like, oh, yeah, all right. Obviously, I have to wait 30 minutes after eating this like tiny pizza before I can swim again. It's like that, but it's real with the lightning and getting back on the field. Kids, what do you think? Yeah, exactly right. The little personal Red Baron pool pizzas. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. What do you think about this spread for this evening?
Spread-wise, I don't see too much value. I think I lean the Ravens spread, but at that point I might as well sprinkle the money line there. Now that we're looking at all this weather situation here, maybe act now on the under if you can find some books sitting around that 46.5 still. I'm sure that's going to start moving down. I think this is going to be a game on the ground regardless. We talked about that young offensive line. I feel like that's not really where you start to attack the air in week 1. So I think we'll see running from Derrick Henry. We'll see running from Lamar as well. That's what they abandoned last time. I don't think they'll make that same mistake. And I think they'll look better doing it this time. So maybe some unders here, but I do agree with Proppy. Andy Reid's not really one to show his cards in week 1 if he doesn't really have to. I think this just means a little bit more to Baltimore.
RJ, would you consider, and we're live right now, so act as we sort of have to be careful about this, but there is a chance where if you hammer the under right now, weather starts coming down, money comes in on the under, we see it drop. Do you think there's any chance of generating a small window there
to take the over on the
come back and take the over and get just a 2 or 3 point window?
Well, if you're trying to middle it, I don't know that I worry that much about it. I don't think that you talk about trends. You want to talk about trends. The last 2 trends, the last 2 openers, I believe the totals were 2 high scoring teams, obviously facing each other. Totals were in the 50s, and they both ended at 41, I believe, on the nose. And it took that Lions pick 6 last year for it to get there. It could have been a much lower scoring game. So I was already leaning toward this being a lower scoring game anyway. Not just because of that, just because I'm not confident Baltimore scores in bunches or that KC is just going to run up the score if they're ahead. So I think it was going to be more of a 23-17 type of game anyway. So I was leaning toward the Chiefs at even at 3 because I think the line actually over the summer I thought the line should have been closer to 7. I was just very, very high on the Chiefs and thought that the Ravens had some issues going in the season. Softened that up a bit, pulled them back a little bit toward together, but even with the Chiefs home field advantage, they're a tier above everyone else. I'll take them laying 3 at home against anyone really. And you can find 2.5s out there. So I definitely take them at 2.5. So my play is going to be the Chiefs on this one. And my lean is going to be the under at 46.5, kind of regardless of what the weather is. Cause I just think it's going to be more of a slog of a game, no matter whether it's raining or not.
Okay. So what do you guys think about my hot take? It's hottish. I don't know if it's a hot take. It's kind of a hottish take, but the idea that the Chiefs, because I think the general feeling for the Chiefs was, okay, let's get to the season. Let's sort of play the turtle up, save Kelsey snaps, take it easy, grind through the regular season, win the division, try to get the 1 seed, win a couple playoff games, 3-peat, and get out of here, get hot in the playoffs. I think that there's a chance that they're like, nah, F that. We are going like thermonuclear on the NFL. Like people said that our offense stunk last year. We were 16th in the league in scoring. We're just going to go like Bill Belichick cheated me out of a Super Bowl in 2003. We're going to go 07 Patriots on the league. And just you bring in Xavier Worthy, you bring in Hollywood Brown, you got Rashee Rice and Kelsey underneath. Pacheco's this like 3rd year like stud running back. Now you have the god himself, Samaje Perine, on the roster. And you just unleash on the NFL with Patrick Mahomes going 5,000 passing yards and 50 touchdowns again. This kind of plays into me liking the Chiefs -3. I think there's a genuine chance that they take that from a narrative approach and want to do that and want to make history. If you want to be a total loser like I was in my article and suggest that they would enter their villain era, you could do that as well. But I think any thoughts on that as a hot take that the Chiefs might just shock everyone with their high octane performance across the year?
I think Travis. Go ahead, OJ.
I wasn't believing it until you said Samaje P. Or they got Samaje P. Right. Okay, yeah. Now they're going to score a million points. Yeah. Go ahead.
That was the biggest selling point for me as well. Yeah, he is. I would argue that I think Travis Kelce's a little dusty at this stage of his career, with all due respect to him. I do think they want to preserve him for the playoffs. I really think it's unlikely that he has a full-time role, especially early in the season. I don't think you want to overload him with too much work. Have him nicked up. I think it's really important that he's healthy and peaking, towards December and January. So I just don't see them. I don't think they have the personnel, frankly, to go thermonuclear against the NFL like we saw when we had prime Randy Moss mixed with Tom Brady. I still obviously think Patrick Mahomes is in the prime of his career, but Marquise Brown can't stay on the field. I think Xavier Worthy is going to struggle, especially out the gate. Even if he is good, we saw with Rashee Rice, he was as efficient as any receiver in the NFL, and he wasn't a part-time player, or wasn't a full-time player in that offense until week 10. So I just don't think they're going to really open things up a lot until later in the season. So I think they're going to be similar, play a ball control style offense. I think they lean heavily on Pacheco, on the ground game, and then I think they open things up as the season progresses.
I think Mahomes hated that last year. I think he wants to go downfield. He wants to show off that arm, show that he's the best quarterback in the league. And that's why you go get Marquise Brown. That's why you go get Xavier Worthy. So it's going to play a part in my trying to hit the gem for the first touchdown later. But I think he wants to show, look, we mean business. We can throw the ball downfield. We couldn't do it last year. We can do it this year.
And by the way, thoughts on kicker props over here, and I like Harrison Butker to go over 1.5. We'll get into that later, but if anyone's trying to get that in before kickoff, I think it's a great play, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But I hate to rain on your parade, Brinson, because as like the personality hire, I feel like I should be all for the hot takes, but I don't really think it's going to be that situation. I actually like their win total under. I think, like Proppy was saying, like, one guy goes down, one significant guy, this team's kind of screwed in my head. And I don't think they cared. I mean, this has to be the most competent team in football, given their playoff run last year. Like, they don't care about getting 12 wins as much as some other teams would and putting themselves in a specific playoff situation. So I think they'll be pretty conservative as well.
Didn't you hear me say Samaje Perine? I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore. I think they actually have you're right. No, I'm kidding. I do think they have like a little bit of depth there. I mean, God forbid Sky Moore break out at all this year. Everyone's in trouble. But to me, the Worthy thing from a schematic standpoint, the NFL changed the way that they covered offenses by playing the two high shells because of Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. And now you have the guys who eat underneath in Kelce and Rice, and then you also have Worthy who can just destroy deep. I mean, and also run pretty good routes. But to your point, Prop, I mean, I've said it for years. You don't see rookie wide receivers thrive in an Andy Reid system very often, and it did take Rashee Rice a while to get going. I don't think, by the way, he gets suspended. So if anybody's betting props on Rashee Rice for the season, and you see a number that's lower than it probably should be, yeah, I mean, I would lean over on those probably.
I would also argue that.
To do that, so.
I would also argue
suspend him in season, so you got.
Yeah, I mean, now's not the right time to do it, right? But yeah.
I would also argue we saw with the Chiefs, we didn't really see anyone with a diverse route tree. Even Rashee Rice last year, even when he became a full-time player, is primarily operating close to the line of scrimmage and over the intermediate parts of the field. You never really saw whether it was Justin Watson, he had one of the deepest A-dots on the team. You either had a shallow A-dot or a deep A-dot. They didn't really have players that were in between who were running a diverse route tree. So I think Worthy is going to be primarily used as a deep threat, especially early on the season. I know he struggled with press coverage at Texas. I think he's going to struggle out the gate as he gets used to the NFL as he acclimates here as well. But just as far as the Chiefs receivers are concerned, they had pretty specialized roles for the duration of the season too. So something that could potentially hold back a big first-year breakout.
All right, well, let's get to some props. Mine's listed first, but I don't want to give it out because I feel like I talk too much in general. It's not my fault. It just happens. But Prop, I know everybody's itching. Actually, just dovetail right in because you were sort of mentioning it.
Yeah, the rest of us might as well not be here. Everyone just wants the props.
Man, I've seen more, like, if you click on like one person, like the way X's algorithm is, like all I get is like NC State tweets and like lotto ticket home run prop tweets now. Get me away from these things. But they've been popping up all day where it's all alt overs on various receivers in these games or touchdown scores. And Xavier Worthy's a popular one. And you can make the case one deep ball he gets there on a certain number. You are not going to make that case, are you, Propstars?
I'm not, Brinson. Yeah, I'm fading the rookie speedster. I'm going under 46.5 receiving yards for Xavier Worthy. I think it's a big number for him for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, we know rookies in an Andy Reid offense take a while to come around. Look at Rashee Rice last year. Despite just off-the-charts efficiency, he was not a full-time player until about week 10 in this offense, despite just incredible efficiency. And he also had a much more diverse route tree coming into the NFL as well. Worthy being a more one-dimensional deep threat at this stage of his career. The Chiefs love to platoon at wide receiver. They have a pretty jammed up depth chart, even without Hollywood Brown on the field. So I think he's looking at maybe a third to half of the offensive snaps in this game. I would also argue from a matchup standpoint, this is as difficult as it gets against this Baltimore secondary, second in EPA allowed per dropback last year. Added Nate Wiggins, as Mackenzie mentioned, in the draft. The safety tandem is exceptional, fully healthy as well entering the season. I think this Baltimore defense will really be able to guard the perimeter and the boundary well. I think the majority of the production that they give up is going to be underneath to a guy like Rashee Rice or Travis Kelce. I just do not look at this matchup as conducive to Xavier Worthy. So I think fading him out the gate is a sharp move. So I'm going under 46.5 receiving yards.
RJ, you've got a prop that I frankly didn't think looked real. I mean, I guess you got to set the number at something, but like, I don't know if you have Derrick Henry on rush attempts, and I would have guessed it'd be like 5 rush attempts higher, honestly.
It's real and it's spectacular. It's Derrick Henry.
It is beautiful.
Derrick Henry over 15.5 rush attempts, minus 135. You know, you were talking earlier, Todd Monken took a lot of heat for that game plan in the AFC Championship game, throwing. Barely featured any called runs. Team went out and got Henry for a reason, and I don't think they're going to ride him hard all year. They want to save him for the playoffs, like you guys are talking about Kelce. This is the spot to do it, to show that okay, I admit I was wrong. I think if they're behind, they're going to run him. If they're ahead, they're going to run him. It's just keep on pounding the middle of that Chiefs defensive line with Derrick Henry over and over and over. So I think he gets to 20 rushing attempts here. Over 15.5. Just paying minus 135 for that seems pretty sweet to me over at BetMGM.
Agreed.
And Mackenzie, what do we have coming from ye old Modell?
Oh yeah, the SportsLine model. That's what they call me, the Lorax of the data. That is
that's a hell of a nickname.
Yes, love that one myself. Thank you. Okay, we got 3 props that we picked out with pretty solid value. You're looking on the left where we would have the line, our projection, and you're looking at the right of the BetMGM line. So some solid value we can find across the board, starting with Harrison Butker, like we were talking about in the chat. If you just look at him to this 1.5 line overall, he crushes it, 62% here. And then you look at the Ravens defense. I think something they've always been pretty great at is, stopping people in the red zone, limiting to just short field goal attempts. So I think they'll find themselves in situations like that again. But he has a lot of success at home. Surprised to see this. I mean, minus 145, not exactly a cheap line, but I think this could be priced a little bit steeper as well. And then Patrick Mahomes here, we have projected for just 226 passing yards. And you look at the AFC Championship last year, he only had 241, and now he doesn't even have Hollywood Brown here. You don't have Brown, you have Worthy, still an unproven rookie here. I think the world of him, but who knows if that really comes out in week 1. And I talked about this Ravens defense again, that everyone feels like, they lost everything. But I just think Nate Wiggins is great. You have a healthier, later Humphrey, and you have a healthy Marcus Williams. So I think there's a lot to be said for that situation here. And then we're going to go to Lamar, the skinny Lamar era, guys. I've talked about the skinny Lamar era that's been loading all week long. He is back to 2019 form. He is speedier than he was last season. They're setting this line as if it was last season. He averaged 7 yards per carry when he was in his skinny Lamar form. And we are back there. That's better than the 5 yards per carry around that he was averaging last season. So again, game on the ground to me. Now you have Derrick Henry as another threat. I think it just opens up the field for just about everyone. So I would get that 46.5 now if you can shop around for it. And we have him projected for 56.
Did Lamar go carb free in the offseason?
Yes. I mean, this is what happened to
Did he
Jalen
really?
Hurts, right? He went and put all this weight on and was like squatting 900 pounds, and then he couldn't move last year. Okay, I'm anti. I understand that the quarterbacks want to get like buffed to avoid injury, but then they're not as mobile. I'm on the skinny quarterback trend over here.
I think you make the case that Lamar too, like switching offenses from Greg Roman to Todd Monken, knowing that he was going to be more in the pocket throughout the course of the season, decided to beef up and be able to take some of the hits if he had to in the pocket when he wasn't starting to run downfield. And now maybe they said, all right, we got Derrick Henry back there. We are going to run some read option with Derrick Henry. Put that in the playbook. That's your Georgia guy, right? I mean, like Monken.
Yeah, Monken.
He wasn't running read option with Stetson Bennett, but he might do it with Lamar.
This is his dream. He's like, finally somebody that can like maybe take a hit here. But yeah, speaking of Todd Monken, though, I mean, there's a ton of things I like from Georgia that he's going to put in here, including 2 tight end monster here, which is one of his favorite games to play. So excited for that as well.
Well, and worth noting too, and I had this conversation at one point in the offseason with a buddy of mine who played like football at I think he played at West. I don't think he played at Westport. He was either Westport, maybe he was Navy, but Jeff Monken is the coach at Army, and they run exclusively triple option. I mean, I know my brother and I talk, and I know Jim Harbaugh, like you know that they're talking. Like he's like, dude, he's like, if I had Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, here's what I would do if I was running that offense. So I think we might see some sort of triple raid or triple raid sort of blend here between the triple option and the air raid. I'm personally bullish this season, and this is shout out to Coach Speak for this, but like getting the clips. But the Harbaugh and the Ravens have been talking up Rashad Bateman all off season. And I don't think it's completely fluff. I mean, this is a guy who's a former high pick. He's been productive at times in like spots, but hasn't been an explosive player. They're going to get him involved here. And you want to have as many weapons as you can. Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely is the 2 tight end sets. And then Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman is your 2 outside guys who can move around in formations. His over-under here is 28.5 yards. I love the over here because I think they're going to want to back up that narrative by getting the ball. And I do expect that you'll see Steve Spagnuolo and this KC defense sort of focus in on the tight ends and maybe Zay Flowers more, maybe stopping the run. And that leaves Bateman a ton of single coverage to get open, and he can do a lot of things with his route running to get free for Lamar to hit him.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I just talked about a little DFS segment today with my boy Jamie, and I put him as a good buy low, cheap option on a DFS team tonight. I mean, he can make the separation. It's just a matter of he's never had the reps with Lamar. And now in training camp, we physically have seen Lamar throw a ball and Bateman pass it, which is really all I need, or Bateman catch it. That's really all I needed to see. So I think this could be a sneaky play as well.
Glowing reports about Rashad Bateman throughout the offseason as well. So I do think he has some breakout upside as well. Obviously has the draft capital, being a former first-round pick. Hasn't been able to stay on the field, but so far so good as far as this offseason is concerned. And I do think that he will benefit out the gate as well.
Can I give you guys a little odds update real quick?
Yeah,
absolutely.
BetMGM has moved it down to 46 on the total.
Wow.
It's 10.5 points.
Interesting.
So to your theory of get it now and it's going to drop Brinson, that's dropped a half point. So
the latest I saw was Ian Rappaport tweeted the information that the concourses had been cleared, that the players were off the field, and that kickoff was still scheduled for 8:20. The NFL is really weird. It's hard to explain how weird the NFL is about this ceremonial first kick, and it like for instance, they don't like to announce suspensions on the day of the NFL, like the day that the NFL kicks off. They think somehow that's going to take away from the kickoff the first game. Like anybody gives one flying whatever about, somebody being outside of like fan, I mean, nobody's freaking out when a suspension happens. It's like, just give us football. But the NFL is weird about it. And I do think that they want the kickoff at the normal time. They're going to press this as far as they can, without worrying about harming anybody, making sure everybody's in the seats. They don't want to push it back if they can. But yeah, I wouldn't not surprised that it maybe drops a little bit if you like the over. Certainly wait and see what happens and hope you can squeeze something out of that. Any prop chat questions? I see Michael Amato ask, Proppy, what do you think about Rashee Rice over Anybody can answer, obviously, but what do you think about Rashee Rice over 5.5 catches?
Yeah, I like attacking Rashee from a volume-based standpoint, especially in this particular matchup as well. So if I were looking to play one of his props, it would definitely be receptions. I do think he's going to be headed for a large volume role. I think it'll predominantly be close to the line of scrimmage as well. So I do think he could be in line for a pretty classic 6 reception for 68 receiving yard type game, especially against this very good, stout Baltimore secondary that's likely to keep everything in front of them. So I do like Rashee Rice in this matchup from a volume standpoint.
Brinson, anywhere he gets suspended in the middle of the game or no?
I mean, I've got some sizable best ball bags on Rashee Rice. I was drafted him early in the offseason, but it just didn't look like he was going to get suspended. So I hope he's not. I mean, it would be surprising if the NFL announced a suspension in the middle of the season. They usually let the legal process play out, kick the can down the road till the next season. That's what I think is going to happen. But anybody got a take on Andrews over 4.5 catches, Kens?
I got a take here because I'm pretty high on my boy Isaiah Likely, and I just think we'll see a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I'm not necessarily ready to play Mark Andrews overs yet. I think it's just not. I'd wait. I'd like to see a game or two to see how often they actually run a 2 tight end set. I'm just high on Likely. I think 4.5 is pretty high. We haven't projected for 3.6, so optimistically rounded to 4. I think 4.5, depending on the price. Maybe if it's plus money, worth a little bit, but I wouldn't pay a lot for that.
Prop, RJ, anything on Mark Andrews?
He wasn't practicing for the majority of the offseason, so I'm with Mackenzie.
Yeah, he was in that car wreck.
Yeah, so I do want to see him on the field a little bit. He's had trouble staying healthy over the last couple seasons as well, so he could be on the decline potentially at this stage of his career. So I agree with Mackenzie. I'd like to see it from him before I'm out here betting his overs.
I worry about snap count, but I think that Lamar just loves focusing on him. So I think he's going to go to him when he's on the field. So even knowing that his snap count is probably going to be limited, I'm a little hesitant of taking him under there.
I also saw Mike M ask, I assume this is Mike McClure, ask, is Worthy's 44.5 too, I was joking, it's not Mike McClure, but is Worthy's 44.5 too low to take? Or like, what's your sort of
threshold for it? Yeah, I play it down to 43.5. So yeah, I'm good with it at 44.5.
Cool. All right. BetMGM has all the action for every sports fan. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get a first bet offer up to $1,500. If your first bet loses, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets with bonus code EDGE1500. That's EDGE, EDGE 1500. Yeah, I'm new here, so I don't know what a goose parlay is, but I think I like it already, and I'm probably going to tail it. Proppy. Oh, we have an official delay. We are kickoff at 8:40 now scheduled. So we've been bumped back 20 minutes from 8:20 to 8:40.
Let's make
the NFL just wants us on,
leg parlay, guys. Let's stay on. We'll stay on, and we'll just cook up an insane.
But we have to snake draft them all 16 games.
Yeah. Everybody gets 4.
Talk to me, Goose.
All right, Goose parlay. Goose is my cat, Brinson, if you recall when we popped
you
remember Goose. He shut off our podcast a few times last year. Here we go. I went with a light one here just because we're trying to get our feet wet early on in the season. First and foremost, we love the Derrick Henry anytime touchdown leg. That's really the make or break leg for this parlay. If he scores a touchdown, I'm very confident here. Then we're going to go Derrick Henry over 49.5 rushing yards. Love RJ's prop as well, over 15.5 attempts. I do like that quite a bit, but I think he's going to have 50 yards on the ground. I also love Isaiah Pacheco in this matchup as well. Last season, the Ravens were vulnerable on the ground here a bit. Isaiah Pacheco, I think, is headed for a breakout season, going over 45 rushing yards for breakout. And then Mark Andrews, as RJ mentioned, Lamar Jackson loves targeting him. We're going to go over 35 receiving yards, put it all together here, getting plus 325.
I love it.
That.
I feel like that should be more than 325. Are those are all
lines?
Yeah. Those are all lines, yeah.
The all lines. Yeah, I was like, Mark Andrews 34.5. We take a commercial break for like 30 seconds. So like hammer this. And of course, okay. So do we have? Did I miss a model picks? I'm sorry.
Some touchdowns. Yeah,
Anytime
don't worry
touchdowns.
about
Let's
it.
go.
Let's talk about it. These aren't our first touchdowns. We're going to get to those later, but here's some touchdown props we have some value on, again, showing where we'd set the line on the left, showing the odds makers line on the right. Pacheco being one of them. To get him at even money feels pretty good to me. Again, I wouldn't be someone I personally bet on. To be minus 120 for anyone's kind of lame to score a touchdown, but I digress. Anyway, Pacheco, again, finding the red zone at the end of last year, going to get the ball a lot, as Proppy just mentioned, like his prop total over that alt line as well. Mark Andrews here. Now, this is really, and Isaiah Likely. I put them in the same category here because I feel like with this two-headed tight end monster, we could see either of them being very well open in the end zone. I think Isaiah Likely is probably the better value. But just again, Mark Andrews was one of Lamar's favorite red zone targets last year. So I think we'll be looking for him again and feels comfortable in that situation. So 3 plays where we would set the line a little bit shorter than the odds maker. So you're looking at some good value.
I think when you look at those Ravens tight ends too, and I'll be curious what you think here, RJ, but you get down to we saw the Titans, very predictable on first and second down, what they did with Derrick Henry. I would expect that the Ravens are a little less vanilla when it comes to just lining up and pounding them, especially with Lamar Jackson and the weapons they have. If you get Derrick Henry lined up on the 2 or 3 yard line or just inside the 5, and you play action and bootleg Lamar out, somebody is coming across wide open, and you have the opportunity for Lamar to run in for a touchdown. So I think those are good looks on those tight end touchdowns there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like I prefer Andrews. Like I was saying, he just loves him so much. And having him in there is just a big deal, but you're getting a ton of value on that Likely number too. It's just a little bit more of a long shot because Likely could have 0 catches in a game, whereas I don't think, Andrews has any chance of having 0 catches in a game that he's healthy and plays basically the all 4 quarters. So I like the Andrews one there. I think of the 3 that Ken's mentioned, I would go the Pacheco one. I just think plus 100 is very good value on the Chiefs running back to score a touchdown, especially knowing, they put CEH on reserve NFI list. And so you're looking at the big boy Carson Steele and P. Ryan as the backup running back. So I think it's all hands on deck for Pacheco down near the goal line.
I would also offer the Titans used to deploy Derrick Henry out of the Wildcat, and he has a couple pass attempts as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a little fabric or wrinkle tonight in the play calling if we get down to the red zone and we see Derrick Henry with a pass attempt.
I like that little Chiefs offense in the Chiefs' face in their own stadium.
That's right. Yeah. You like the
Lamar's
pop pass. We got the pop pass.
Lamar's going to demand to be the receiver on that one too. He's going to want to be out wide and catch that
Big
one.
time.
I'm just glad that Derrick Henry helped to erase the mental image of Tim Tebow doing the Gator pop pass, which was unstoppable and entirely just annoying for years when Tebow was running it. All right. The Diamond first TD pick. I lamented, look, I'll be honest. My favorite 2 things to bet in all of sports are golf first round leaders and first touchdown bets. The compressed sweat of these things when you get down to the goal line, you're just like, you're just going like full like Chappelle show, and like that sweat right there in that moment is just incredible. I will admit very briefly that I think the markets for both, because people have been successful in them, have shrunk too much, and it's unfairly priced in some spots. But I was surprised to see on BetMGM just how many decent plays above 10-1 we had here. Kens, we'll start with you. You're you've been hyping the guy up. You're going full Coastal Carolina, right?
Coastal Carolina, big time. We got to go Isaiah Likely again. I see in the chat someone asking about Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was my first. He was my first touchdown scorer W last year, so he does have a special place in my heart. But I'm still riding. Look, if they don't go out, I just tweeted this too. If they don't go out with a 2 tight end set, I think I'm cooked about just all of my plays this entire night. So I got to just ride it completely. 30-1 for Isaiah Likely. We get a little fake handoff to Derrick Henry. We got the 2 tight ends. All the eyes are on Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely wide open in the end zone. That's exactly how this is going to go. I'm feeling good about this one.
And Prop, look, there's nothing wrong with betting both tight ends here, right?
Absolutely, Brinson, especially when we're talking about Mark Andrews getting 10-1. We know he's Lamar Jackson's favorite target, especially likes to fixate on him when he gets down into the red zone as well. So getting 10-1 on Mark Andrews seems like a value to me. I took the chalk here. Let's go Mark Andrews getting the first touchdown.
RJ, I think it was kind of surprising to find, and part of the reason you've got Andrews above 10-1 is people think the Chiefs will score first, right? Well, there is actually a pretty decent option, like a guy who's going to get looks, and if he gets one deep bomb,
Yeah, I had to go with the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Ravens are going to have trouble scoring points. So the question was, am I going to go with Mahomes, running it in, which he is want to do. I don't think he had any during the regular season, though. So passed on that one with Xavier Worthy. Speed can definitely take a cornerback by surprise when a guy like that hits his extra gear. So, even if he's not going to be a major part of the Chiefs' game plan moving forward, I think that speed it plays right away. And if Mahomes wants to stretch the field and show that this offense is back to having a deep ball in its pocket, this is the guy to do it. He was forced to dink and dunk all the time last year. What better way to establish and open up offense than going on a 50-yard touchdown to Worthy pretty early in this game? So wanted to throw Worthy in here at 11-1. I wouldn't play his receiving props really, but I think he could just have that one big play in the bag where he gets a long touchdown in this game.
Let's make it 40 yards and have that be his only grab of the game.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I beat and moaned about, like I said on our call setting up the show, about how there's no good numbers out there. And then promptly went and took the longest shot on the board, Noah Gray, 50-1 first touchdown scorer. If you know one thing about Andy Reid, and look, it's entirely possible that there's a bomb to Xavier Worthy and it's over before it begins, or Travis Kelce does some kind of funky left-right juke move where he just gets open and Mahomes rolls out a bit and hits him. All very possible. Also possible, Andy Reid has some weird stuff dialed up around the goal line involving multiple tight ends where Travis Kelce's taking a snap and then throwing a pass to Noah Gray, or I don't think they'll do a little shovel to Noah Gray, but they've got stuff designed by the goal line. Don't mind putting it on tape. And by the way, just gave Noah Gray an $18 million 3 years extension, I believe, which is pretty good for considering, where he's at in his lot in life. I would take it in a heartbeat, obviously. So I'm going Noah Gray, 50-1 first touchdown scorer. And this is just one where when this hits, I mean, I'll be giving him out the rest of the year, but I don't need to worry about him for the rest.
You deserve 2 stars if you get that one at 50-1, Brinson. So
yeah.
Kudos to you. Yeah. That's worth 2.
I always called it Davis Allen first touchdown score late in the year for the Rams last year, which same sort of thing. I like these, you get condensed packages down by the goal line.
Donald Parham.
RJ, let's look ahead to week 2 or to the week 1. I guess it's only Thursday. Sorry, I've done 7 hours of video, Dave. I might.
No, you're right. We're talking about the week 2 lines here.
We are talking about week 2 lines. I was right.
Yeah. So some books allow you to bet on the week, the week ahead before the week that's going on. So these are week 2 lines. We spend all this time focusing on week 1 and talk about it for months, really. And then nobody's really looking at week 2, but there's plenty of value on the board in week 2. A few options I really like. I'm going to give you 3, ending with the one I like the best. I like Detroit minus 6.5 against Tampa. I think Tampa could struggle in that game against Washington. I think Detroit, Brinson and I went head to head on Detroit Rams earlier today. But I think Detroit is gonna show that they're a championship contender and they should be laying more than 6.5 in that game. So I like them there. I like Cleveland +2 at Jacksonville. I think Cleveland's much better than Jacksonville. But the one I like the best, near and dear to Brinson's heart, is Carolina +3.5 at home against the Chargers. The Chargers should not. We're going to look back on the season and say, how are the Chargers laying 3.5 on the road against anybody? And then Carolina is going to surprise some people offensively in that game against the Saints in week 1. And I think they're in a good spot to have success there. And any positivity with Bryce Young's play, which I believe is going to happen because of Dave Canales, leading the ship there, is going to drop this line well past 3, especially if the Chargers offense struggles against a pretty solid Raiders defense. So I think with the Chargers limitations, this line's going to look pretty dumb and it's going to adjust pretty quickly under the 3. So get it now at 3.5.
And it was worth noting too go ahead, Kens.
I'm thinking I might need to give Sia a call and see if he can give us a first touchdown prop because the people are begging for a Sia prop. Should I see if he can?
Anytime we can get Sia involved, I'm here for it.
All right, let me put him on speaker. Let me see if I can.
I like
get
this. This is like
This is
who
real.
wants to be a
I love if it
millionaire?
was like the wrong number and you called someone else.
Sia, this is so exciting. We have a really important question for you. The chat is just begging for a Sia first touchdown prop. Do you have any thoughts? I can read you a board too if you need.
No, Mackenzie. I know the board. It's Isaiah Likely, obviously.
Oh,
Oh my God. So funny you say that. I said the same thing. 30-1. Are you kidding me?
I can't believe it's not 2-1. Lock it in.
Wow. That just boosted my confidence to the moon. Thank you for your time, Sia. Enjoy the game.
All right. Have a great show.
Thank you.
I don't know if he actually knew he was on the show.
Yeah.
By the way,
Wow,
Sia also very good at first round leaders in golf too. Love following him on that stuff. All right, we have a bunch of bets to recap, including bets from the morning show on Early Edge as well. So we have prop is on the Xavier Worthy under 46.5 receiving yards. He doesn't like fun.
Loser.
Boo. No, I think it's you're probably right. Everyone's assuming 100 yards for Xavier Worthy. I'm on the Chiefs and Rashad Bateman over 28.5 receiving yards. Just feels too low. Sia from the morning show likes the Ravens first half plus 1.5. Larry, and he gave this out on. We also have the Early Edge from 2 to 3 every Thursday. NFL weekly picks on CBS Sports Network. Make sure to check that out. Gave out Trenton Simpson over 6.5 tackles and assists. What a full-blown degen play. You love to see that. And RJ, you're on the Chiefs -3 and Derrick Henry over 15.5 rushing attempts. Ken, do you have a quick recap on the model picks? Anything outside of Isaiah Likely?
I got them off the dome. We got Lamar Jackson over his rushing yards. We got Patrick Mahomes under his passing yards. And we got a little Butker over 1.5 field goals made. And again, Isaiah Likely. I mean, the model, the team. I love Isaiah Likely. If they don't go out in the 2 tight end set, guys, like I might have to leave the company. That's what I've been talking about all week.
All right. That'll do it for us. That's great stuff, guys. 8:40 kickoff time. So you got plenty of time to get your bets in, maybe sneak in a couple extra,
parlay, all of them together.
Yeah, a couple extra parlays. Squeeze those in before it starts. For Propstarz, for Kens, for RJ, I'm Brinson. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the game. Enjoy football. And we will see you before the Friday night game, Packers and Eagles. See you guys later.
Birds.